Read it again, out loud, so they all hear it. The lawyer's voice cut through the shocked silence of the Sterling Industries boardroom in downtown Austin. 20 executives in $1,000 suits stare at the trembling woman in the Target clearance blouse, confusion and rage warring on their faces. Ivy Chen's hand shook as she held the document, her voice barely above a whisper. Upon my death, I, Harrison Sterling, being of sound mind and body, hereby bequeath 100% controlling interest in Sterling Industries, including all subsidiaries, properties, and assets valued at approximately $4.8 billion to Miss Ivy Chen. This is fraud. Richard Hartwell, the CFO, slammed his hand on the mahogany table. She's nobody. She's been his assistant for 3 years. She fetches his coffee. There's no way, Harrison. There's more, the lawyer interrupted. Mr. Sterling left a video, recorded 2 weeks before his death. Shall I play it? Before this goes any further, if you've ever believed in taking a chance on someone, in choosing hard over comfort, please stay with us. Subscribing, liking, or sharing this story isn't about supporting a channel. It's about standing behind stories that remind us who we are. If that matters to you, even a little, stay. Nobody moved. The massive screen behind the head of the table flickered to life. Harrison Sterling's face appeared, gone from the cancer that had killed him, but his eyes sharp and alive. He looked directly at the camera, directly at them all. If you're watching this, I'm dead. And if you're all losing your minds because I left everything to Ivy, good. You should be uncomfortable. He paused, smiled slightly. For 3 years, you walked past her every single day. You demanded she get your dry cleaning, book your restaurants, fix your mistakes. You called her the help. You made jokes about her accent. You laughed when her car broke down. You mocked the fact that she brought lunch from home instead of ordering from expensive restaurants you expensed to my company. Not once did any of you ask her name, her story, where she came from, what she was capable of. But I did. The camera zoomed in slightly on Harrison's face, and something in his expression made even Richard go quiet. And what I discovered was that the woman you treated like furniture was worth more than all of you combined. So yes, I'm leaving her everything. Not because she manipulated me, not because of some scandal, but because in 3 years, she showed me more loyalty, intelligence, and humanity than any of you showed in 2 decades. Ivy, Harrison looked directly at the camera now, as if seeing her across time and death. They're going to fight you. They're going to claim I wasn't in my right mind. They're going to make your life hell. But you're stronger than you think. And everything I taught you these last 3 years, all those late nights going over financials you thought were just busy work, that was me preparing you to run this empire. Don't let them take what's yours, what you earned. The video ended. The boardroom erupted into chaos. And Ivy Chen, immigrant daughter of restaurant workers, woman who'd never made more than $38,000 a year, who'd been invisible for 3 years, stood there holding the document that made her one of the wealthiest women in Texas. She didn't know it yet, but this was just the beginning. Ivy Chen's car died on her way to the interview. Not broke down, not stalled, died on I-35 in Austin traffic. Smoke billowing from under the hood, cars honking as she desperately tried to coast to the shoulder. She was 26 years old, drowning in student loan debt from a business degree. She worked 3 jobs to afford, and this was her 7th interview in 3 months. She made it to Sterling Industries 45 minutes late, sweating through her one good blouse, H&M, $19.99, mascara smudged from crying and frustration. The receptionist took one look at her. You're here for the executive assistant position? Yes. I'm so sorry I'm late. My car. Mr. Sterling doesn't tolerate lateness. I know, but if I could just explain. Room 2401. Elevator's there. Good luck. The receptionist's tone said she'd need it. Ivy took the elevator to the 24th floor, heart pounding. She'd researched Harrison Sterling obsessively. Self-made billionaire. Started with a small tech company in his garage at 23. By 45, he'd built Sterling Industries into a tech and real estate empire, known for being brilliant, demanding, and utterly unforgiving of weakness. The job description had been intimidating. Seeking executive assistant for CEO. Must be detail-oriented, discreet, able to work 60-plus hours weekly. Compensation, $38,000 annually. $38,000 was barely livable in Austin, but Ivy was desperate. Her mother needed surgery. Her father's restaurant was failing. She needed this job. She walked into the office. Harrison Sterling sat behind a massive desk, silver hair, sharp blue eyes, reviewing something on his laptop. He didn't look up. "You're late." "I'm so sorry, Mr. Sterling. My car broke down on I-35. I don't care about your excuses. I care about whether you can do the job. Sit." Ivy sat in the leather chair, feeling small and inadequate. "You have a business degree from UT Austin, top of your class. Why are you applying to be an assistant?" The honest answer would sound pathetic, but something about Harrison Sterling's directness made her match it. "Because I have $84,000 in student loans. My mother needs surgery. My father's restaurant is failing. I've applied to 43 positions in my field and gotten rejected from all of them. I'm overqualified for this job, but I'm also desperate. So yes, I'll fetch your coffee and manage your schedule and do whatever you need because I have no other choice." Harrison looked up for the first time, really looked at her. Most people lie in interviews. Say what they think I want to hear. I'm too tired to lie. He almost smiled. "You start Monday. Don't be late." For 3 years, Ivy Chen was invisible. She arrived at 6 a.m. every day. Made Harrison's coffee black, 2 sugars from the Whole Foods on Lamar, never Starbucks. Managed his impossible schedule. Handled demanding executives who treated her like a servant. "Ivy, get me the Morrison files." "Ivy, my dry cleaning." "Ivy, book me a table at Uchi, that place you probably can't afford." Nobody asked about her life, her family, her dreams. She was the assistant, furniture that occasionally spoke. But Harrison was different. He noticed things. When her car died for the second time and she started taking the bus, he noticed. "Why are you commuting 2 hours each way?" "My car's not worth fixing. I can't afford a new one yet." The next day, a used Honda appeared in the parking garage. A note on the windshield. "Company car for employee with longest commute. Don't be late. HS." When her mother's surgery came due and Ivy worked through her lunch break every day for a week to research payment plans, Harrison noticed. "Is your mother okay?" "She needs surgery. I'm working out the financing." Her next paycheck included a $15,000 bonus. When she tried to return it, "It's a performance bonus. You've earned it. Take care of your mother." When she brought lunch from home, leftover rice and vegetables her father made at his restaurant, while executives ordered $50 lunches on the company card, Harrison noticed. "Why don't you order lunch?" "I'm trying to save money." "You're trying to survive." That afternoon, Harrison called her into his office. "I need you to start staying late 3 nights a week." Her heart sank. "More hours. Same pay. I need to prepare you to understand how this company actually works, the financials, the strategy, the decisions that matter." "Why?" "Because you're smarter than everyone on my executive team combined. You just don't know it yet." For 2 years, while everyone else thought Ivy was filing paperwork and organizing Harrison's calendar, he was teaching her everything. How to read financial statements, how to evaluate acquisitions, how to spot weakness in competitors, how to lead. "Why are you doing this?" she asked one night, exhausted after a 4-hour session on merger strategy. "Because I see you, and because the world needs more leaders who remember what it was like to be invisible." 6 months before he died, Harrison was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He told no one except Ivy. I don't have long. 6 months, maybe, and I need to make sure Sterling Industries doesn't fall apart when I'm gone. Your executives are vultures. They'll destroy everything I built fighting over pieces of it. He looked at her intensely. Unless I give it to someone who actually cares about the people, not just the profit. Who? You, Ivy. I'm leaving you everything. She thought he was joking. Delirious from treatment. Anything but serious. But Harrison Sterling never joked about business. Sometimes the people we ignore every day are the ones who deserve our attention most. Sometimes being invisible isn't about being unimportant. It's about everyone else being too blind to see what's right in front of them. If you've ever been overlooked, dismissed, treated like you didn't matter by people who should have known better, then maybe you understand why Harrison Sterling did what he did. Why some legacies aren't about blood or status. They're about recognizing worth where others see nothing at all. The day after the will reading, Richard Hartwell filed a lawsuit. Harrison Sterling was not of sound mind. He was manipulated by an opportunistic assistant who took advantage of a dying man. We're contesting the will. The media had a field day. Gold digger assistant inherits billions. Sterling Industries in chaos after shocking will. Who is Ivy Chen? The nobody who became a billionaire overnight. Ivy's face was everywhere. Her life dissected. Her family harassed by reporters. Her father's struggling restaurant mobbed by people wanting to meet the billionaire's family. The Sterling Industries board voted to freeze all assets pending the lawsuit. Ivy couldn't access funds, couldn't make decisions, was effectively locked out of the company she legally owned. They're going to bury you, Harrison's lawyer, Margaret Wu, warned. Richard has resources, connections, media backing. You have a document and a video. I have more than that. What? Ivy pulled out a thumb drive. For 3 years, Harrison had me document everything. Every unethical decision. Every corner they cut. Every time they prioritized profit over people. He knew they'd fight me, so he prepared me to fight back. Margaret's eyes widened. That's evidence. Leverage. Justice. Ivy's voice was steady now. Harrison taught me that the best defense is a good offense. Time to show them what an invisible woman can do when she finally decides to be seen. Ivy scheduled a press conference. Margaret advised against it. You're not ready. They'll eat you alive. They've been eating me alive for 3 years. I'm used to it. She stood in front of cameras, wearing a simple black dress, no designer labels. Just Ivy Chen, daughter of immigrants, former invisible assistant. My name is Ivy Chen. 3 years ago, I was hired as Harrison Sterling's executive assistant for $38,000 a year. For 3 years, the executives now contesting his will treated me like furniture. They mocked my clothes, my accent, the fact that I brought lunch from home. They never asked my name or where I came from. But Harrison Sterling did. He saw past the Target clothes and the used Honda. He saw someone who worked 3 jobs to afford college. Someone who sent money home to support her parents every month. Someone who showed up every single day on time, ready to work, despite having every reason to give up. For 2 years, Harrison trained me, not because I manipulated him, because he recognized something the rest of his executive team missed. Competence doesn't come in designer suits. Intelligence isn't measured by expense accounts. And loyalty isn't proven by how you treat powerful people. It's proven by how you treat people when no one's watching. She pulled out documents. The executives contesting Harrison's will claim I manipulated a dying man. But here's what they don't want you to know. She clicked to the first slide. Financial statements. For 5 years, Richard Hartwell has been embezzling from Sterling Industries. Small amounts from dozens of accounts. Carefully hidden. Total theft. $8.3 million. The cameras went crazy. Thomas Chen, no relation. has been accepting kickbacks from contractors, inflating project costs. Total fraud, $4.2 million. More documents, more executives. Years of corruption Harrison had documented. Waiting for the right moment. Harrison Sterling left me his company not because I manipulated him, but because he knew these men would destroy everything he built. He left it to me because I was the only person in that building who cared more about the company's mission than their own bank account. So yes, I'm fighting the lawsuit. And yes, I'm pressing charges. Because Harrison Sterling didn't just leave me a company. He left me a responsibility to protect what he built from the people who would destroy it. She walked off the podium to chaos. Questions shouted. Cameras flashing. But the damage was done. Public opinion shifted overnight. The lawsuit collapsed within 2 weeks. Evidence of embezzlement was undeniable. Richard Hartwell resigned to avoid criminal charges. 3 other executives followed. The board issued a formal apology and reinstated Ivy as rightful owner and CEO. But winning the company wasn't the same as knowing how to run it. Ivy's first board meeting as CEO was brutal. 12 remaining executives, all older, all skeptical, all waiting for her to fail. Ms. Chen, one began, voice dripping condescension. What's your first priority as CEO? Listening. Excuse me? For 3 years I listened to employees complaining about unsafe working conditions you ignored, to junior staff with ideas you dismissed, to customers frustrated by policies you implemented to cut costs. Harrison trained me to see what you couldn't, that the company's strength isn't in its stock price. It's in its people. She pulled up a presentation. Not about profits. About people. Sterling Industries has a 40% turnover rate. Industry average is 20%. We're hemorrhaging talent because you create a culture where only executives matter, where assistants and junior staff are treated as disposable. That's just business. That's bad business. It costs us millions in recruitment and training. It destroys morale. It's why our competitors are outpacing us in innovation. She clicked to the next slide. Here's my first initiative. We're restructuring compensation. Every employee gets profit sharing. We're implementing mentorship programs. We're creating pathways for people like me, people you'd usually ignore, to advance based on merit and not connections. That's idealistic nonsense. That's what Harrison would have wanted. And since I own this company, that's what we're doing. You're welcome to resign if you disagree. Nobody resigned. Because despite their skepticism, the numbers didn't lie. Employee retention improved within 3 months. Innovation increased. Stock price rose. Ivy Chen, former invisible assistant, was proving she could run an empire, but she was still lonely. Power without purpose is just noise. Money without meaning is just numbers in an account. Maybe that's why so many people who inherit fortunes squander them, because they mistake the wealth for the wisdom that created it. If you ever wonder whether you could handle success, whether you'd use power to lift others up or just yourself higher, then maybe you understand why Ivy's victory wasn't about the billions. It was about finally being seen, about proving that the woman everyone ignored was exactly who Harrison Sterling knew she was all along. 6 months into her role as CEO, Ivy attended a tech conference in Miami. She was exhausted, burned out from proving herself daily, lonely despite being surrounded by people who now wanted her attention, though she knew they wanted access to her power, not actual friendship. At the Publix on Biscayne Boulevard at 10 p.m., buying groceries because even billionaires need food, and she refused to pay someone to do basic tasks. She collided with someone in the frozen food aisle. "I'm so sorry," she looked up. The man was tall, dark hair, kind eyes, wearing scrubs with Jackson Memorial Hospital embroidered on them. He looked as exhausted as she felt. "My fault. Long shift, not watching where I'm going." He smiled tiredly. "Dr. Adrian Cole. And before you make the inevitable doctor joke, yes, I'm buying frozen pizza at 10 p.m. Medical school doesn't teach cooking." Ivy laughed. Actually laughed for the first time in months. IV Chen, and I'm buying the same pizza, so no judgment. They stood there in a frozen aisle, both too tired to be anything but honest. You look familiar, Adrian said. Have we met? Probably not. I don't get out much. Me either. Cardiology fellowship is basically my entire life. He paused. Want to grab terrible coffee from the in-store cafe? I'm too wired to go home and too tired to be alone. She should say no, should protect herself, should remember that everyone wanted something from her now. But Adrian looked at her like she was just a tired woman in a grocery store, not a billionaire CEO. Terrible coffee sounds perfect. They met at that Publix every Friday night for 2 months. Adrian didn't know who she was. Thought she worked in tech, not wrong. Never Googled her. Just knew her as Ivy, the woman who made him laugh, who understood exhaustion and loneliness, who brought leftover pizza to their grocery store cafe dates. Why don't you ever want to go to real restaurants? He asked one night. Because this feels real. Everything else feels like performance. Fair enough. When she finally told him, sitting in that same cafe at midnight, both of them exhausted from their weeks, he went quiet. You're that Ivy Chun, the Sterling Industries CEO, the woman all over the news. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? Because for 2 months, you treated me like a normal person. Do you know how rare that is? Everyone else wants something. You just wanted company. Adrian was quiet for a long time. I still just want company. Your bank account doesn't change that. Really? Though I should probably upgrade from frozen pizza to homemade frozen pizza. She laughed, then cried, because someone finally saw her again. Not the CEO, not the inheritance, just Ivy. 6 months into their relationship, Adrian proposed. Simple, honest, in the same Publix where they met. I know this is fast. I know your life is complicated. But Ivy, you're the most real person I've ever met. And I don't want to lose that because I was too scared to ask. She said yes through tears. But the world wasn't kind. Media called Adrian a gold digger. Her board questioned her judgment. People whispered that he was using her. Maybe we should wait, Adrian said one night, reading another brutal article, until things calmed down. No. Harrison taught me something important. The people who matter don't care about the noise. And the people who care about the noise don't matter. But your board answers to me. I own the company. They work for me. She took his hands. Adrian, for 3 years I was invisible. Then for 6 months I was a spectacle. With you, I'm just Ivy. That's worth more than their approval. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. They got married at the courthouse in Austin. Small, simple, just like Harrison and her parents in attendance. Her father officiating with tears in his eyes. No media, no society wedding, no performance, just love. 5 years after inheriting Sterling Industries, Ivy Chin Cole stood at a podium at UT Austin, giving the commencement speech. 5 years ago, I was an invisible assistant making $38,000 a year. Today, I run a company worth $6 billion. But here's what I want you to know. The wealth didn't change me. It just amplified who I already was. Harrison Sterling didn't leave me his empire because I was special. He left it to me because I was overlooked, because I understood what it meant to be invisible, to be dismissed, to be underestimated. And he believed that understanding would make me a better leader than anyone who'd never faced those struggles. He was right. She paused, looking out at the graduates. So here's my advice. Don't wait for someone to see you. See yourself. Know your worth. And when you finally get your shot, whether it's an entry-level job or inheriting an empire, remember where you came from. Remember the people still fighting to be seen. Use your power to lift others up, because that's not just good ethics. That's good business. And it's the only legacy that actually matters. The standing ovation lasted 10 minutes. After the ceremony, she found Adrian waiting, holding their 6-month-old daughter, Maya, named after Harrison's late wife. "Good speech," he said. "Learn from the best." "Harrison, and you," she kissed him, "you taught me that love doesn't care about bank accounts, that the right person sees you no matter what you're wearing or driving or earning. I'm a pretty great teacher." Modest, too. They walked to their car, still that used Honda, because some things didn't need upgrading, and drove home to their modest house in a regular Austin neighborhood, because Ivy Chen had learned the most important lesson. Having everything means nothing if you forget where you came from. And being seen doesn't require a fortune, just the right person paying attention. Sometimes the greatest inheritance isn't money. It's the wisdom to use it well. Sometimes being invisible is just preparation for the moment when everyone finally has to see you. Maybe that's what makes stories like this resonate. Not because they're about billions or boardrooms, but because they're about being human, about staying grounded when everything around you changes, about remembering that worth isn't measured in dollars, but in how you treat people when you have the power to treat them any way you want. If this story reminded you that everyone deserves to be seen, that patience and hard work eventually pay off, that the people who dismiss you today might regret it tomorrow, then maybe you understand why Ivy's story isn't really about inheritance. It's about finally claiming the value you had all along. 10 years after Harrison's death, Ivy created the Sterling Foundation, $500 million dedicated to scholarships for first-generation college students. Every recipient got the same letter. Someone once saw value in me when everyone else saw nothing. This scholarship is your chance to prove them wrong. Don't waste it. And when you make it, remember to pay it forward. Ivy Chinko, CO. One recipient replied, "Ms. Chinko, I'm the daughter of restaurant workers. I'm drowning in applications and rejection. Your story gives me hope. Thank you." Ivy smiled, remembering a younger version of herself in a broken-down car on I-35. She replied, "Come work for me. We need more people who understand what it means to fight for everything, because some cycles were meant to be repeated. Some legacies were meant to be shared. And being invisible is just preparation for changing the world." If this story touched you in any way, if it made you feel something, pause for a moment, or see life a little differently, please don't let it end here. These stories take heart, time, and care to create, and your support is what keeps them alive. Subscribing, liking, or sharing isn't just a click. It's a quiet way of saying this mattered. If you believe stories like this deserve to be told, please stay with us.